Hey there! We've been traveling for more than 50 years on planes, trains, and automobiles, and sometimes even boats and ships. Now we're trying our luck with RVs and vans. We're Bravo too. Come with us to see what kind of trouble we can get into, and hopefully out of, as we continue our travels. But buckle up, because safety first.
Well, good afternoon. Usually you would do this video that we're about to do today at the beginning of an adventure.
Beginning.
We thought,
Having had a few adventures.
Yeah, like anything else, when we got through everything, we were like, we probably should have documented a little bit better of what we did, but and why we did it. So we thought we would kind of take you back in time and back to last year, 2023. Unfortunately, Bravo 2 lost her mother, and we were fortunate enough to be able to travel out there and be with the rest of the family while we were there, and help out the best we could. But there was only so much we could do. But one of the things we realized is that we had to start making decisions about traveling and seeing our family. Unfortunately, we live thousands of miles from my family and thousands of miles away from Becky's natural family. And so our family lives in Mississippi. My relatives live in New England, most of them. And with a few outliers in Florida and Kentucky and where else? And
anyways, most of Bill's family lives in the Northeast. Most of my family lives out west, with a few outliers here and there.
Yeah.
But down in Mississippi, it's just the two of us, our son and his girlfriend.
Fiance.
I'm sorry, fiance. Sorry, Carson. Our son and his fiance.
But so anyways, we were thinking about, we were going over and over what we were going to do. Would we travel more via airplane? And it seems like in the past, every time we've done that, it's always been like, well, we've got this coming up. We've got this project coming up. And we could never get to where we wanted to be at the appropriate time.
And it was often like a really big imposition on the people we were visiting.
Right.
If we wanted to stay a long time, we had to stay with them for a long time.
Or stay in a hotel, which
was then super expensive.
And sounded a little, it always felt a little rude, yeah.
Rude.
Yeah.
Love you, sis. Gonna stay in a hotel. That seemed rude.
Love you, Dad, but sometimes,
Gotta stay in a hotel.
Gotta make puzzle in the love seat.
Oh my God.
Anyways, inside joke there. But
that's not that inside. They can figure it out.
Well, it's inside the family.
It's not hard to do.
Anyways, moving right along. So we started watching a bunch of YouTube videos, like one does when they can't sleep and have a problem to solve, I guess. And we started looking at whether or not we would travel using a Class A, a Class B, a Class B+, a Class C, whether we were going to backpack, hitchhike, Jack Reacher it. We thought of all the different.
I think we also have to go back further. You have to go back further in our story. We've camped.
Yeah.
We've tent camped.
And we've done all these things before.
We did the pop-up trailer. We actually thought we were going to use our pop-up camper and be able to visit family a good bit. We just got into a fight with our HOA and then a fight with the city.
Apparently, they wouldn't allow us to park our camper in the driveway.
And before that, and if you say, well, that's understandable, okay. They also wouldn't let us park it in our backyard behind a 6-foot privacy fence.
Yeah. So, what are you going to do?
Anyway, so it was going to cost us more to store it than it was actually worth. So we wound up selling that, and then everything we did, we really like I love Airstreams, the idea of that, but then we're going to have some place to store it. And that became more of I think we were pretty quickly sure we didn't want a Class A, but was it a C, a B, or a B, or a B+, which is really technically a C, but whatever. And so it was just kind of, or build our own van.
Right. And so we started watching a bunch of videos about how to build basically a travel van and van life. And we started learning more and more about it. And the more we learned about it, the more
Overwhelmed.
yeah, it was a little. It was there's
more-
so much data out there.
The more we said, hey, that Class C doesn't sound so bad. You can get one of those for $80,000 and it's all ready for you. Except it was never the layout we quite wanted.
Right, and one of the criteria was that we wanted to be able to continue to work, and while we were on the road and continue to do our jobs.
And working for me doesn't mean opening up a laptop on a small lagoon table. I applaud all of you who can work that way. I need, if not 2 monitors, 1 very large monitor. I need a real keyboard and a mouse and a place to put some paper.
Yeah.
And as we figured out just this last trip, God help me, I do need a printer and
Scanner.
so we hired one's on its way. Thank you, Amazon. But so nice thing about these trips is we figured some things out. But there we were. We needed those kinds of. I need that kind of stuff to work. Bill's you can work really well on a laptop.
I'll tell you one thing that became difficult: editing videos.
It's for everyone out there
So-
that edits video, whether for YouTube or for anything else.
God bless you.
On a laptop.
Because so what we and so like everything else, everything was new. Everything we had to learn how to do everything from scratch. But we weren't sure. We wanted to dump, anywhere between $30,000 to $120,000 in a van or a
van and a
van
build.
that and then build it out. So we came up with this idea, and this started in early October
23.
of 2023. What we were going to do is that we would rent a van, a cargo van. We tried to rent. It was going to be a transit extended length, and we tried high roof. We were trying to get as close to what we would buy, what we wanted. And we made this decision based on a couple things. And I know there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to disagree with this choice. But there are 3 basic choices that we had learned of at the time that would be feasible for these types of adventures. The Sprinter van by Mercedes, the ProMaster by Ram, or the Ford Transit. And for several reasons, which I think we go into in other videos.
Including the fact we already owned a Ford.
Yeah, including the fact that we also owned a Ford and we like Ford. But there were a lot of other reasons and a lot of other videos that we watched that kind of came to that conclusion that would be the ticket. So we wanted to rent something as close to that as we could, and we were able to do so. We were able to rent a Ford Transit 250, 148 wheelbase with the extended length, high roof. The only thing that this didn't have that we wanted, that was on part of the checklist, was the EcoBoost and the all-wheel drive, because both of our families live in higher altitudes or definitely above the Mason-Dixon line, and we knew that we would run into wintry weather at some point. And our goal was, and we heard this expression. I don't know if she coined it, but when we were on the road during our adventure, we heard the expression "chasing 60." And
we did hear that on the that was when we were
don't say where, because you're going to ruin our adventure story.
That's from a really awesome couple who we will identify at a later date.
But they said that they were chasing 60. And essentially what that meant was that wherever 60 degrees was, that's where they would travel towards. So that was their destination, if you will, which we kind of liked that idea. And so we started thinking about it. And so we figured that in the summertime, we will travel along the northern part of the United States from one end of the country to the other. So we shot a target date for December 1st, and we found a company that would rent it to us. And I'm not going to disclose who they are, uh, but they were very helpful, and we were able to reserve the van. We ended up leaving sometime
Early
December
mid-December.
7th,
No.
or was it?
We're like the 13th.
When did we have to be back? Anyways, the idea was 30 days on the road. It ended up being about 24 days, 25 days on the road because we were able to make it back a little early for various reasons. And what we wanted to learn, a couple things. One, could we survive? Could we survive without Bravo 2 killing Bravo 1? Could we, would our dog, could we travel with our dog? We have a Brittany that is very high energy, and if he doesn't get between 15 and 20,000 steps a day, we're doing something wrong. He needs to be stimulated either.
As counted by the thigh collar
Right.
that he wears. It's a GPS tracker.
But he has, so we wanted to make sure we could do that. Also wanted to make sure we could work full time on the road. So this took a lot of technical ingenuity that we kind of put together. And so we had two major things. One, we had to be able to keep Delta 3, our dog, we had to be able to keep him in the same type of environment that he normally is in. So that meant he would eat with us, sleep with us because he sleeps in our bed. God help us.
Yeah, if you haven't already started that with your dog, don't.
Yeah. Anyways, and we needed a full size, queen size bed. And so we had to make sure we could be able to do that we could set that up in the Ford Transit. And I had some ideas of how to do that without making an extender. I also wanted to make sure that we could take Bravo 2's desk as it sits right now and actually put that in the van and have her be able to work from it. We also bought some specialized or some electrical equipment, and we'll get into that later videos. But we also, and better internet with failover. So we didn't go with the full
We don't have Starlink.
Starlink. We didn't go that far. But this was all a test, and we had a budget, and that was all of the equipment to be less than $10,000 because we wanted to be able to also purchase this stuff so that if we didn't like this, if the test failed, then we could use it for something else.
Right.
And we'll talk about some of those pieces and how we can use them later. But we tried to, and this from a technical standpoint, because my background is technical, we also wanted to find some technical resources and ways that full-time professional employees can work while they're on the road and be successful and still be able to enjoy our great states. And we talk about that more. So we're going to go ahead and, again, this is all hindsight. We took some video, we took some pictures of our trip, and it wasn't until we started taking off the first couple days where we actually said, hey, let's do a log every day, and which we did, and we'll put out those videos soon. But this first video is really going to be just snapshots of equipment and some short videos that Bravo 2 just thought would be cute to follow me around and take. That was the challenge. The challenge was, can we build? I guess it would be classified a no-build van. And could we survive with a dog traveling
in the winter?
Yeah, in the winter, and we ended up going 5,000 miles. So the longest test drive you'll ever take for a vehicle. We ended up going about 5,000 miles, and so the rest of this video is just going to be some snapshots of the build that we put together in 3 days. Keeping in mind the two most important things that we had to do was be able to sleep and
Work.
work. Oh, and eat. Yeah,
And
we that was kind of a
That actually fell away.
That came in third.
Yeah, that was a far third.
Donnie ate the same. He was
he
Delta 3. Yeah, he
ate
did
the
all right.
same.
But
We hope you enjoy our no build, and we hope that you'll learn a few things, both about if you've bought a van, you don't have to wait for it to be done to go enjoy it.
yeah.
So we got the van last night, and now we have 3.5 days to turn this into a livable space. You can see we've got some Havelock wool that I started putting in some of the crevices. That's easily removed. I'm not going to be using any type of glue or anything of that nature. Hopefully we'll get, today my goal is to get the Reflectix, to encase the inside with Reflectix, again using tie downs and straps to hang it and to get the sealing. And then we will probably end up using some paracord too, I'm sure, because paracord solves everything. Anyways, that's our game plan.
So we tried to do our best to put things in the van in order of necessity, and we figured the first thing that we would need would be a bed. Now as I mentioned before, we needed a queen size bed, and we had to use existing holes. So we thought the way to put the sturdiest way to do this would be to put a 2x6 on each end, up as high along the wall as we could, so we could get the full extension of the van for the queen size. And you can see us using a 2x4 to help as a shelf on both ends.
Trying to decide scores of this or scores of this. Now this is the traditional way to do it. You can see the lip right there, but it puts the bed down a little bit further. We're trying to get as much bed in the transit's furthest wall as possible. So if you flip, when we saw this on a YouTube video, I'd give a shout out if I remembered whose it was, but he flipped the Scorza bracket. The Scorza still fits in that opening, and it puts the bracket at the top. Here the Scorza brackets are in place. We haven't put the slats down yet because Bill's looking for a way to tie them to the wood. Tell me so. All right, the bed fits. We lifted it up. Excuse my panting. These beds are very heavy.
After getting the bed in, the next thing we thought was to finish up with the insulation, and the best we could do at the time was to put a little bit of Reflectix on the bottom of the van. We tried to encase as much of the van with Reflectix as possible, not so much for a vapor barrier, but just to help to keep what heat we had inside the van. In addition to that, we used regular workout matting for the floor, and Bravo 2 did a great job finding some wood-grained version of workout matting. So we put those together like puzzle pieces from one end to the other end. And then once we got that in place, then we continued on with the Reflectix up against the wall, along with making sure that we had a little bit of insulation going around the bed area. And you can see we use quilted blankets as just another low R value attempt to try and keep us warm the best we could. And you can see we tried to put some form of electrical on each corner of the bed, figuring no matter what we did, we would have electricity at one part or the other. and then again just using a staple gun to kind of staple into the 2x6. And you can see we just use regular surge protectors, and they're posted on all four corners of the bed using Velcro. And we were able to tie all this together using extension cords. Now, in addition to that, we had to set up Bravo 2's desk at the end of the bed, at the other end, and we used a long utility strip which not only powered her computer but also powered her monitors and our internet and anything else that required AC power. And you can see there we used the Pecron LFP 2000 along with an EB 2000 battery extender that gave us about 5 kilowatts of power. And frankly, if all we were running was AC power, it would pretty much last forever. It's when we started to use things that required heat that we started to drain the batteries without shore power. Again, you can see we have the mattress and all of our blankets and Bravo 2's desk in place. This was all an attempt to try and just get everything in the van so we could leave as soon as possible. I figured if we got all the tools and our bedding and everything in crates, once we got on the road, then we could adjust and make adjustments to everything, and we would be good to go. But that was our quick 3-day build.
Well, we hope you enjoy the video, and just remember, safety first. Be careful out there. Peace out.
Bye, y'all.
Get that squirrel.